Hi and welcome to our podcast. We're on session 3 today. My name's Abi Twomlow.
And I'm Andrew Farquharson.
So what have you been looking into this week, Andrew? What are we talking about this time?
I don't know whether we're going to talk about it, but just something interesting happened the other day that I think I mentioned before, that I get alerts to do with hypnosis, hypnotherapy and therapies in general. One of them came up and it was sort of highlighted, hypnotherapy versus therapy. And that sort of got me thinking for a moment. I thought, well, are they not both therapies? What do they mean, versus? And so I had a wee thought about that. I don't know if you've ever thought about there being a battle between
It's something you see. It's something that you see on quite a regular basis, really, in articles and in other podcasts, or on YouTube and things. There's this distinction between hypnotherapy and other kinds of therapy. But you're right. The reality is that hypnotherapy is a kind of therapy, so they all come under one bracket. So I'm not kind of sure how it's earned itself this separate badge, really, because it is just a different way of doing therapy. But so is CBT, so is counselling, so is NLP, all those other things out there. They're all different kinds of therapy.
Yeah.
And it's not like all the other therapy is different, because lots of those types of therapy incorporate hypnotherapy, particularly NLP, doesn't it? That incorporates bits of hypnotherapy. And I know that you were saying that you'd read a really interesting piece of research about hypnosis or hypnotherapy being used alongside other pieces of therapy, weren't you?
Obviously, the so-called talking therapies and what the medical establishment, particularly in Britain, means by talking therapy is usually CBT. CBT can be very useful, and it can help, and it does help a lot of people. But the research that I've looked at, and it's more than one piece of research, says that incorporating hypnosis or hypnotherapy into CBT, so effectively having a cognitive behavioral hypnotherapy or cognitive hypnotherapy, enhances the CBT quite a bit, right across the spectrum of issues that CBT is used for. It's also the same with other so-called therapies, but it's really what you mean by the word therapy. There's all sorts of different therapies. Some work better for some people than others. And usually the reason for that is not necessarily because of the therapy as such, it's because of the individual, whether they take to something better. Again, like with hypnotherapy, some people are said not to be able to work with hypnotherapy. They can't be hypnotized and so on. But everybody can be. It's just whether they want to be and they work with it. And it's the same
choice, isn't it? It's something you have to choose to do. That's like saying you can't. There's certain people that just can't relax, and that's not true. Anybody can relax under the right circumstances, and that's all hypnotherapy boils down to, really, isn't it? As a state of relaxation. But it's interesting what you were saying about different kinds of therapy, because I think in general, when you ask somebody what therapy means, they presume that they kind of envisage something about sitting in a room with somebody with a clipboard and talking about their past and how they feel about things, and it being quite an upsetting thing or quite an emotional thing. And actually, a lot of the time, that's not what therapy looks like these days, is it? Particularly with what we do, because we work on that cognitive basis. And if you're not sure what I mean by cognitive, that's your thinking processes. So the way that you think much more than the way that you feel, because it's your thinking that leads to those feelings. You have to have thoughts to create feelings in the first place. So both you and I, Andrew, work on that cognitive basis, don't we? And sometimes I do the cognitive type therapy without the hypnotherapy. Actually, I don't always do hypnosis. But I am increasingly finding that the hypnosis boosts or speeds up or promotes what you're teaching somebody in the cognitive aspect of it, which I know is largely what you do, isn't it? You class yourself as a cognitive hypnotherapist. and we both do that. But I think I sort of, my services kind of offer it as I do the cognitive thing, and then if people want the hypnotherapy on top of that, I kind of offer that.
The hypnosis part can enhance, it can boost, and generally I find sort of speed up the process.
Am I right in thinking that there's been research done around the sort of cognitive hypnotherapy, and it's shown that you need much fewer sessions as well, isn't it? There's some therapies out there that are known as the 1,000-hour therapy, and you don't know how long you're going for, or you have to keep going for a long time. Whereas I think the research into cognitive hypnosis or hypnotherapy shows that actually you don't need many sessions at all, do you?
Not compared to things like counselling or psychotherapy, etc. You know, maybe 5, 6, 7 sessions, something like that. Occasionally a few more. But if you relate that to counselling, which can go on for years, and sometimes twice a week, then it's really quick. And it also really helps the person to feel that they're in charge of what they're doing. Yeah, cognitive hypnotherapy, the type that hypnotherapy I use, we use sort of applied positive psychology in the first part of the session, and the second part of the session is the hypnosis element of it, which reinforces, enhances, boosts what we've done in the first part of the session. So
the applied positive psychology, which we both use, I feel like we probably should explain that a little bit, is about making sense of how you think, isn't it? About understanding how your brain works, how it creates these thoughts, how it creates those feelings, and whether you're doing that in a helpful way to yourself, isn't it? It's about giving you control over those thoughts and those feelings, rather than just feeling like those thoughts come out of nowhere, or those feelings just happen to you by accident, or just by chance, or actually a lot of the time by circumstance, isn't it? We kind of feel like feelings that happen come from circumstances that we're in or situations we're in, and the reality is that they don't. So when we're talking about applied positive psychology or the cognitive aspect of this, it's about understanding yourself to such an extent that you can take control over that, isn't it? So that's your very much in your conscious thinking, isn't it? In your conscious mind. And then the hypnotherapy deals with the subconscious part of the mind, doesn't it?
Yes, and so you get to coin a phrase, the best of both worlds, which is really powerful, what we both teach, because that's what we do. We teach people how to take control of their feelings, their thinking, etc., as opposed to doing something to them. We don't. We do teach people to take control of their feelings and their thoughts, because a lot of people feel that things just happen to them, that they have no control over what happens in life. And that's because of the way we think. Yes, things do happen that we don't have any sort of like physical control over, but it's the way that we respond, the way that we react to those situations that determines how we feel about them.
And how does the hypnotherapy enhance that, do you think?
Well, one is it allows the processes through the cognitive element of what we've talked about to establish themselves in a quicker way, because otherwise you have to sort of practice a lot of things quite a lot.
Yeah.
Because you can't just go from one session, not do anything yourself, because it's to another, and then just hope that you're going to get a speedy recovery.
Because it's about changing the patterns in your brain as well, isn't it? It's about building better habits. And the reality is you can change a habit really quickly. It takes between 2 to 4 weeks, but you have to do that quite persistently. It's not a magic trick. So like you say, you do have to practice, or you have to listen to the recordings that you're given if you're doing hypnosis, that kind of thing, over a short period of time, over a couple of weeks, really, for it to rewire your thinking, for it to change those neurological pathways in your brain, don't you?
Yes, and you do. And as I said earlier, that we're actually teaching something, and there's a difference between teaching and learning.
Yeah.
You can be the best teacher in the world, but if the person you're teaching doesn't want to learn or doesn't want to put the effort into learning, then they're not going to learn.
And us both coming from a teaching background know that really well, don't we? Not just from the psychology point of view, but from teaching anybody anything. That's true, isn't it? You have to want to learn something to be taught it.
Yeah, and the funny thing is with that is you might say, well, obviously people that come to see you want to make a change. Well, that is true for the vast majority of people, but there are some people that do come that for a number of reasons actually don't want to do what you have on offer. And
it can be scary, can't it? It can be scary to, if you've got something that you've been living with for a long time, it's almost, you can feel like it's become part of your identity, and to not have that anymore, even if it's a really negative symptom like high anxiety or panic attacks, to kind of not have that anymore can be a scary prospect, because it leaves you not knowing where you stand with it, I guess.
Yes, that's right. And in other situations, for instance, if somebody was to come, I don't know, they want to lose weight or stop smoking, or sort of the conventional things that people think about with hypnotherapy, if they might have actually been bullied into coming by their partner or friends and family, and they don't really want to do that. They're quite happy with how they are, and
it's more of a should than a want, isn't it?
Yeah, and if you feel you should or you ought to do something, that in itself generates a lot of anxiety and resistance, and so it's important that actually people want to learn, but that's the same in every therapy.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, a lot of the time, particularly in other therapies where they've perhaps been referred through a doctor or a medical professional, the want isn't always as great, is it? It's more of a, you've been sent there to achieve something, almost whether you want to or not, really.
This idea of hypnotherapy against therapy, I think is nonsense, definitely. Complete nonsense. And as we say in Scotland, it's complete mince.
I heard that one before.
Yeah, it is an educational programme, this. So
utter tosh, that's what we have down here.
Yeah, and yes, and I did also have a quick look online to see about this versus therapy business. One of the things I came across was the 3 things that hypnosis cannot make you do, or you can't do, no matter how talented you are as a hypnotherapist. And the first thing is, you can't hypnotize a robot as you would a human being. Now, I'd probably go along with that. But I dare say some of the more advanced AI type of robots, maybe you could. I don't know. I've never actually tried it, and I probably
won't. Likewise.
Yeah. The second thing it said here, and well, I'll see what your thoughts are on this, Abi. It says, hypnosis cannot help people recover from cancer or other diseases.
Oh, no, I don't agree with that. If it said it can't cure somebody of cancer, I would agree with that. But recover from cancer, I don't agree with, because actually there's a lot that hypnotherapy can do to improve your overall health, especially if you are recovering. It can improve your mindset, your level of positivity, your energy levels. There's lots and lots of ways that it can help you to recover, without a doubt. No, I don't agree with that one at all. What do you think?
I'm with you, and I don't agree with that, because I mean, even if you just take it from the point of view that obviously people who've had cancer or other long-term illnesses, they might be anxious that it might come back again, or they're not going to recover properly. Well, if you can help with the anxiety, then that will actually help. And there's research into this as well. It will actually help with the physical recovery.
Yeah, and even just pain management. If there's certain levels of pain, you know, we deal with chronic pain a lot, don't we, in our job?
Yes, yeah.
And hypnotherapy is proven to be really effective with pain. And even if you've got a terminal illness, then hypnotherapy isn't going to help that terminal illness. It's not going to cure you, but you can definitely manage it, manage how you feel about it, manage the levels of pain with hypnotherapy quite effectively.
That's right. And the third thing is that hypnosis has no use in changing the appearance of someone.
No, I don't agree with that one either. I mean, you can't shrink my nose or make my teeth whiter. However, if I came to you because I wanted to lose weight or even stop smoking, you know, we know that smoking impacts your physical appearance, then it definitely works for those things. And even if it's just that you're coming for stress relief or confidence boosting, just the way that you hold yourself and your face, dare I say it. There's a brilliant quote by Roald Dahl. What does it say? And it talks about sunshine coming out of your face. If you have happy feelings, then the sunshine comes out of your face and you look beautiful regardless. And I think that's quite a nice analogy. I don't think it's about changing your physical features, but actually how you hold yourself and how you feel in yourself definitely reflects on the outside, and hypnotherapy has a massive impact on those things.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And so out of those three things that apparently hypnosis can't do, we only agree with one of them, and that's about the robot. And we're not probably 100% sure on that either. But
I've never tried, but we're never likely to find out.
There's a challenge for somebody. But yeah, the other two, and perhaps that we could in future sessions talk about specific areas that hypnosis, cognitive hypnotherapy can help with,
and how they help as well.
Yes.
Be interesting.
And that would certainly take in account the 2 and 3 of those, what we can't do with hypnosis. But it was quite a while ago when you were saying about whether I also just use the cognitive element of the therapy as opposed to the cognitive hypnotherapy together. And I do at times. And some people will say to me, well, I don't want to do the hypnosis because they don't feel so sure about it. And that's fine. I just say it'll probably take you a little longer to do.
And you have to work a bit hard. You have to work a bit harder at it, don't you? Because you still have to embed it in your subconscious for it to be long lasting. So you have to kind of work at that. And I guess I do that probably more than you with the cognitive, because I almost offer it as a separate service a lot of the time. Because some people don't want the hypnotherapy aspect, just like you were saying then. And it does, as long as people are prepared to put the effort in, then the success rates of it are phenomenal, with or without the hypnotherapy. But the hypnotherapy almost makes it a bit easier, doesn't it? And it just kind of gets those things to stick in your brain without you having to work so hard at them. So I think with or without the hypnotherapy aspects, the cognitive side of it is really important, which is why we both class ourselves as cognitive hypnotherapists, and we do, like you say, the best of both worlds, don't we?
Yeah, and I was just actually thinking, I don't know if this is the right phrase for it, but when you add the hypnosis element to it, you get a sort of instant hit.
Yeah.
Because of the relaxation and the sense of well-being that you come away with from the session, and so that can also encourage the client to put the effort in to do whatever's required.
Well, it creates instant motivation, doesn't it? If you already feel good, then you're going to be motivated to carry on working towards that feeling, aren't you? So it sort of makes you more motivated in a way as well. But in terms of the hypnotherapy versus therapy, I think a lot of people, when we're talking about therapy, it's not what people think in the first place. It's not what people assume therapy is. So I think in the first instance, in terms of our title today, therapy isn't what most people think it is anyway. There are so many different types of therapy out there, so many holistic therapies, so many medical interventions, so many talking therapies that you couldn't list them all. There's absolutely tons out there. And hypnotherapy shouldn't be viewed as a separate category. They're all therapy types, and some are more effective than others. But I guess what we should say is that hypnotherapy is proven to be one of the most effective type of therapies, isn't it? Particularly the cognitive hypnotherapy. And actually what you were saying earlier about hypnotherapy alongside other types of therapy has proven to be quite impactful as well.
That's right. And anybody can go and look up the research, just Google the research. That's another point, actually. I think a lot of people are actually surprised. There's a lot of research into hypnosis. And I think we mentioned this in our first session of these. I can't remember. It was like 250,000 pieces of research.
It's scientific research as well, isn't it? It's not anecdotal, it's scientific research. Because, again, with hypnotherapy, I think the first thing that jumps to people's mind is some kind of stage hypnosis that they've seen. And it's not the same. No,
it's not. I think that as we go on, yes, we're going to be talking about hypnotherapy and cognitive hypnotherapy, but we'll be talking about elements of the positive psychology element of it, and in its wider sense, hence the name HypnoPlus. But I do think it would be quite good for us to talk about more specific types of help, and it won't just be about hypnosis can help with stopping smoking, and it can, and it's one of the best aids to help people stop smoking or to help people lose weight. But in other areas such as
fertility, which is what I cover, isn't it?
That's right, fertility.
Or just mental health in general, anxiety, depression, OCD, post-traumatic stress, all those things as well. Right through to children's hypnotherapy and working with children that have nightmares or bedwetting, it can be used for such a massive range of things.
Right. I mean, basically, if you can think of it, hypnosis can help in some way. But I think it is quite right to say the fact that if we go back to the second thing that hypnosis allegedly couldn't do, it can't cure cancer, but it can help people that have suffered from it.
And are still suffering, or, are suffering from it, or other long-term illnesses as well. It definitely help to manage symptoms.
I think we'll call that a day just now.
We've squeezed a lot in today, haven't we?
Yes. And thank you for watching our ramblings. And
if, as always, you've got any questions or if there's anything specific you want to know, please either email us or drop us a message in the comments. Please subscribe to get the next one as well, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Yeah, that's right. And just to reiterate what Abi said, that if there's perhaps anything that you would like us to talk about to do with hypnosis and therapies, or talk about anything else if you want, do get in touch. We look forward to hearing from you. Anyway, bye-bye from me.
And bye. See you soon.